It showed up, the expensive lesson. D-Day was February 5th last year. Sorry for the long story. I figure more discussion will bring up past situations, but I have to explain some of it. Brief info on us and other man. I'm 26 and so is she. She is slightly older. We were married for just over 2 years now. Been together over 4 total. We have a beautiful little girl who just turned 3. Other man is 47 years old. She recently switched from working the night shift doing housekeeping at the hospital. She trained him to take over her area. This was back in January. They only worked together for 1 week and I never knew they were in any contact after she switched. As far as I know, this was the first time they met as well. STBXW picked me up from work. We carpooled together since she got her new job and we started work at the same time. We got 1 block from my work and she pulled over saying we needed to talk. She told me she didn't love me anymore and wanted a divorce. The rest of the car ride home I was lost and couldn't figure out what was going on or what happened. She wouldn't really give me a straight answer until we got about 2 blocks from our home that we purchased in August last year. She admitted to me that she slept with another man and again repeated that she didn't have feelings for me anymore. After she told me, I was crossed between the most pain I have ever felt and the strongest anger and hate I couldn't imagine. We got home and we were yelling and fighting. I felt so broken and couldn't stop crying. She wouldn't tell me why she was even over there. She had lied and said she was going to see a girlfriend of hers, or why it happened. All she would say is she just came onto him, but nothing how she ended up there. Added info, thought I should mention, that says she slept with OM. She came home shortly after acting like nothing was wrong and made love to me as well. The next day she wouldn't touch me though. She said she needed to take a walk and get some air. She ended up getting in her car and leaving. She never lived at the house again except for 1 night. The next few days we spoke on the phone. She was completely cold and heartless, had no feeling or thoughts of trying to fix our marriage. We met a few days later at a coffee shop and I talked to her about the idea of living apart and starting from the beginning, just dating each other. We have a beautiful 3-year-old daughter together and I wanted my family back. She seemed generally happy and open to the idea and was glad to see that I was willing to work towards forgiving her if she was willing to earn the forgiveness. At first, she seemed like she wanted to, but grew distant. I asked her about other man and if she still talked to him. She told me OM didn't want anything to do with a married woman and regretted what he did and said they could not be in contact anymore. She told me after the 1 night, he said he was sorry and to go home to her husband and family and what they did was wrong. As time went on, she grew more and more distant, but we were still talking. At this time, her and our Dee were living with her parents. She came over about 3 weeks after D-Day. We were going to spend time together as a family at the house. An instance came up to where I knew there was something suspicious going on and I ended up looking at her phone. What I read has traumatized me to this day. They were still together. I read 2 weeks of dirty text messages between them. I got to read about some of their physical encounters and how much she loves him. I visited her on Valentine's Day and surprised her at work. She actually got mad at me for the gesture. Found out she texted him and said Happy Valentine's Day. I love you 5 minutes after I left. She called me drunk 1 night and we talked for about 2 hours. She called him right after. She texted him an apology the next day for calling him while being drunk. The next day I went to the Law and Justice Center and got the paperwork for divorce. I'm in a no-fault state and I don't have the money for a lawyer. They have do-it-yourself paperwork which I picked up. For the next few weeks after that we were still talking every few days and started to work on paperwork together. At that point it was pretty clear she wasn't interested in fixing our marriage and she wanted a life with him. Her parents were treating her like crap as you can imagine, so at the end of March, she moved in with him and has been there ever since now. Unfortunately, this also means my daughter is living with them. We got the divorce paperwork turned in. Our court date is May 3rd. We will have split custody and trade off every other week. Child support is still up in the air for the moment, although I have a feeling I will have to pay her as I make more money, which I think is complete BS given the situation. Over this whole ordeal, I admit that I have tried to beg and get her back multiple times, which I know was the worst thing I could have done, although I believe this was an exit affair and she wanted out. We almost separated before the new year, which we mutually agreed may be beneficial to our relationship. She actually moved out, but I told her I felt this was a huge mistake. So did she, and asked her to move back home. She did, and we spent Christmas together as a family. She started her new job and I thought things were improving in our lives. We had a few snags, but I never imagined it would end up like this. Our lives had been stressful and things moved quickly, but I thought we were happy and loved each other. We went through a lot together in such a short time. At this point I both hate and love her still. I feel completely lost in my life as I don't have many friends and I spend most nights alone unless I get to see my little one. I still live at the house, but it is up for sale. If it doesn't go soon, I am going to put it up for rent. The idea that she is in a happy new relationship is crippling to me every day, and I can't stop thinking about them being together with every spare moment they have. Nothing would make me happier than to see them fail, which truthfully, I shouldn't care anymore. I started seeing a counselor just last week. I'm hoping it will help me learn and grow from this and just move on, although it seems impossible at this point. I realize this turned into somewhat of a storytelling rant. I feel like I'm still sitting at square one some days. Yes, I'm just hoping to reach out for help is because the official date is next week. It seems like people are tired of hearing about it, even though this whole thing has only gone on for about 3 months now. The more I talk about it, the easier it seems to get as well. This is the third ducking time. She accidentally sent me a text meant for him. Luckily this time it only said, "Hi baby." I told her she needs to pay more attention and to please stop, and she snapped back that it was just an accident. I don't need the reminders. I'm tired of fighting with her, and I try to just be cordial the few times I have to deal with her. How is it someone can just turn it off like that? I mean seriously, I was basically raising 2 children because of what her parents did to her. My family was my life. Now she is off with other man and acting like everything is so much better and acts like I should just be over everything. This guy is a 47-year-old loser who doesn't even own a car. He's old enough to be her father. And yet I feel like the loser. My wife ran off on me to that. We used to fight a lot. It was mostly about really small and stupid things. That is mostly what the separation was about. We wanted to basically live separate and date each other for a little while. She moved out the week before Christmas, but I had asked her to come home. We both felt what we were doing was wrong and a huge mistake. The next 2 weeks before she started her new job were the best. We'd been together for a while. She was really stressed out after starting her new job, which is expected, but from how things went after we almost separated, I really never would have imagined what came next to ever happen. She was really sheltered by her parents. They live in a very small town about an hour away. They are very old-fashioned and raised her to believe all the usual crap about a woman's role in a family. From the beginning I always told her that was BS and she was capable of so much in her life and that she was my partner and equal. There were many aspects of our life, little things like taking care of our bills and such that I had to do, otherwise they wouldn't get done. I tried to sit down and show her our finances. She got it one day and the next it was just gone. I know that's not the best example, but we did fight about money and it was frustrating when I tried to show her these things and she had no interest. She would just get mad that we didn't have the money to go do whatever. I guess I've never had to actually describe these situations before or try to explain how I felt and why. I'm definitely going to look into that book you mentioned. I know I have the issue of being a codependent because even though it felt annoying at times, I liked the feeling of taking care of her. My family, I have a lot of idle time now and it's hard for me to take an interest in anything. Right now, it's really hard for me to distinguish whether I miss her or if it's just the general loneliness that is getting to me. I do miss us and having my family home tremendously. If anything, I feel extremely jealous of her and she doesn't have to deal with being alone after what she did and he has what I had, wanted, back. She was my wife and lover, but sometimes I feel more importantly she was my best friend. Even though I pushed to get the divorce paperwork done as quickly as possible as I'm hoping it will help me move forward, there are still days I wish I would just hear a knock at the door. She would be there wanting to come home. I miss feeling her touch and being able to hold her. Comments: she wants to shack up with daddy type guy. What a father figure. No car, no life. She did not cheat because of him. It could have been anyone. She wants out. Give her exactly what she wants. OP responds: I'm giving her what she wants. I pretty much did 90% if not more of the paperwork for the divorce. Otherwise it wouldn't get done. I'm curious to see if something changes once it's actually final through the court. Can't stop caring even though I wish I could. I have a feeling I will be a mess that day and she is not going to give it a second thought, which will only make it worse for me. I talk to her as little as possible really and don't talk about us when we do. It's just about dealing with the house or working out details about our little one. Lately she has tried to talk to me like I'm her friend or something, which is just confusing to me right now. We have found a daycare for our daughter so I won't have to see her every few days. We will be able to start every other week trade-off. She has shown no emotion towards what she has done to our daughter's life. I'm curious how she will act the first week she spends with me. I'm honestly afraid that day might come. Part of me doesn't think it ever will though. I just hope when it does it won't break me. Yesterday wasn't so bad. Had to speak with STBXW about upcoming schedules for our daughter and some repairs around the house as the realtor is doing an open house tomorrow. Was a little sad throughout the day but nothing too bad. Tried to keep my mind on other things. Last night she tried to call me and I just ignored it. She immediately called again, still ignored it. 20 minutes later she called again and then one last time about 10 minutes after that. Finally, I guess she realized I wasn't going to answer so she started texting me. Of course, the first words were, "Since you won't speak to me." She started sending me messages about pointless crap. Our daughter got a haircut. She has really curly hair and it was just getting a little hard to manage. STBXW wanted to let me know so I wouldn't get mad. Really? Then she told me that I was going to have to take our daughter for her doc appointment on Monday. I was already planning on taking her anyway. she was going to meet me there. Then she just ranted on about daycare and money for the repairs. She made the decision to buy the home with me. I'm having her pay half to try and fix up a few things. Then she started blabbing about disciplining our little one differently. It was a total of 17 text messages over an hour of already known or pointless info. Why is she trying to be friendly and talk to me about crap I don't care about lately? I've made it pretty clear we are not friends and I could care less about her life anymore. I have to admit it felt good to just ignore the calls and not respond to any of the text yesterday. Strange thing is she called again this morning and I finally answered and she proceeded to repeat everything from the text messages even after I told her I got all of them. What in the hell? Is she really that delusional into thinking we are still friends or something? Or as Chuck put it, she is ignoring the fact that I say I want nothing to do with her or care about her life and trying to act friendly to lessen her guilt, or does she actually believe we can be friends or something? This morning was okay I guess besides the one phone call. Was trying to clean up the house and was on the phone with my friend's mother for a while. My friend and his family adopted me, so to speak, as we are all very close. Her husband cheated and left her a few years ago. In a way it's nice to talk to someone who can relate. Between cleaning and having to leave periodically for work, the afternoon went by somewhat quickly. Unfortunately, the day has pretty much been destroyed as I ran across STBX, another man with my little one, at the grocery store. They were far enough away that I didn't really see what he looks like. I can't deal with having more images in my head, but it pretty much broke me to see her laughing and smiling with him. It's hard to see my daughter but not want to go up to her, let alone see them together. To be so sad and heartbroken and yet full of hate and anger at the same time is really strange to feel at the same time. I really hope I can sleep tonight now. Woke up rather depressed today, didn't sleep all that well because of how last night ended, and today was my last day of my second job that I rather enjoy. I'm giving it up because I work 7 days a week and wouldn't be able to enjoy any time, or even be available to watch with my daughter when we start the parenting plan. I'm happy that I will have the time for my daughter now and get to put more distance between me and the STBXW. Guess it's just another one of those reminders that my life has been ripped apart. Had an open house today and my realtor said a family called her later tonight and made an appointment to see her tomorrow. Hoping a decent offer comes through so I can get out of this house. Think that will be a big help to me mentally. In that crappy limbo stage of trying to get out of here or move on but not being financially able because of the mortgage. Luckily the way my schedule works out, I get my little one tonight and tomorrow night. Going to drop her off on Tuesday morning to the STBX and will be able to kick off the parenting plan. Won't pick her up until this coming Saturday, but I will hang on to her until the 13th. Will be the longest stretch of time I've been able to have her since the beginning of all this. After reading other stories and thinking of my own, the BS really gets the shaft through this whole ordeal up front. Talk about a complete mind duck. Still in that frame of mind where the idea of finding someone else and being happy again just seems like a pipe dream or something. 5 days left until the final day and there seems to be a good chance I may get this offer on a house. Makes me sick to my stomach to realize how quickly it's all fallen apart. Completely enraged me that she has to take any opportunity to throw it in my face that she is ready to just move on with her life lately too. It hurt so much the day I found out she moved in with him and that my little one was thrown into it even worse. STBX actually said in the mass text messages the other night that our daughter has been sad lately and she can't figure out why. How about you are destroying her life, you stupid duck? She doesn't see mommy and daddy together and we aren't a family anymore. Every time I go to pick up my daughter, she's excited and runs to give me a hug when she sees me. When I have to take her back, she starts crying the second she even sees my STBX car and doesn't stop. Usually, she leaves with her like that too. I know for a fact it's because STBX is focused on pleasing OM instead of taking care of her own daughter and spending time with her. As far as exposing their behavior, a majority of people already know and more found out daily from me. Not necessarily out of trying to bash or degrade her, but people find out we are divorcing and they ask why. I know I did some wrong things in the marriage, but I won't take responsibility for its demise. We could have worked past the issues if she would have actually communicated with me. It is amazing how some people act like it's no big deal. She has lost her mother, father, as they were embarrassed by her and they had a falling out. Yet her brother and sister who live in another state were trying to get her to move with our daughter and live with them. Her sister called me and talked like nothing was wrong with what was going on, yet she had to tell me a story about when she visited us. She said when I came home from work, she couldn't believe the love she saw between the two of us the second I stepped through the door. She doesn't really have any friends and I don't know how they are treating her. I'm surprised the one girlfriend, the one she lied and said she was going to see when she slept with OM, still seems to stay in contact with her. Her boyfriend was cheated on and he is still messed up by it to this day. As far as informing their work, the vindictive side of me wants to call, but I still think it's a waste of my time and that would bring me down to their level. At this point there is no more fantasy as we are no longer together. It's just them living together now and they don't hide it. The one thing I do wish is that she never got that IUD. can't help but wish she would get knocked up by this loser. She loves trying to argue with me and turn me into a scumbag. It just amazes me and hurts like hell. People have pointed out that it seems she always needed drama in her life. Guessing she fights with me to keep the drama out of her new relationship. Can't wait until we don't have to talk anymore. This wonderful new relationship of theirs will be in for a surprise. Then again, having a girlfriend who is half your age is probably an ego boost for OM. He's probably willing to put up with it for a young person. Kind of forgot what happened today. Offer was made on the house and it looks like it should be enough to clear the loan and walk away. Just like everything else, it's bittersweet. I get to move on, but it's another reminder of what has been stripped away from me. STBXW called to say goodnight to our little one and then had to rub it in that the house will sell and she can just move on with her life and OM. Even though I've been doing better this week, the past few hours feel like I've just been smacked back to square one with my feelings. Emotions. Been a couple weeks since I've cried this hard. 3 days left. These past few days have just been complete hell. Part of me wishes that I could be cordial with her as we are going to have to co-parent for a long time, but I still find it hard. She just throws comments out there basically trying to say that I am a bad person or turn me into a scumbag. All we did was fight and everything was just so horrible. Just sets me off and then we do start to argue again. Is this just the fog talking? I know I need to not let it bother me, but being only 3 months down the road, the pain doesn't seem any less, to be honest. I guess her general attitude and feelings towards me are still so shocking. Went to take my daughter back this morning. Little one was basically clawing at the door because she didn't want to go back with her mother. She actually threw up a little too. Was the worst I've ever seen it and it shattered my heart. STBX started accusing me of BS, saying I was trying to turn her daughter against her and that I spoil her, which is ridiculous. She says our daughter is fine for days but only acts like that after she has been with me. I do nothing but my best to enjoy and spend time with my little one, take her to the park, watch movies and such. As much as I can. Barely have enough money to go paycheck to paycheck now, let alone spoil her. Few days later, Dee Dee started daycare yesterday morning. We were both there for her first morning to see how things would go and such. She was actually really excited to be there and didn't get upset at all when we left. I think I was the only one sad, to be honest. STBX caught me off guard. Right now, financially I am not well off, but I still get by. She prepaid for the first month of daycare as I paid for the divorce and for the repairs on the house. We were both nervous about being able to keep her in daycare full time. I had the money available, so I paid my half of next month. Didn't bother to mention anything. She had gone in to throw a little bit of money towards next month, and I'm guessing the lady had mentioned I made a payment. STBX came out of the building with that bright, beautiful smile that I haven't seen from her in a while and actually walked up and started to hug me and told me thank you. Looked like she was about to cry. Part of me wanted to push her away, but I just couldn't. I miss that smile so much and I can't remember the last time she hugged me. Offer was made on the house on Tuesday afternoon and we met with the realtor to look it over that night. We made a slightly higher counter and the people accepted. House will be gone by the end of June if all goes well and I won't have any debt from it. There is a slight chance we won't clear the loan, but STBX said she already talked to the bank about a loan. I had to bite my tongue when she asked if I could co-sign on the loan with her. The realtor's jaw hit the ground and I thought she was going to slap STBX. My realtor knows exactly what STBX did to me and from the bits and pieces she has mentioned to be. She is or recently has finished her divorce. I believe her ex-husband cheated on her too, even though it was going to happen eventually. Still hit me pretty hard to realize another part of the life I had is going to disappear now. I'm also upset because I don't think I will be able to rent a place for Dee Dee and myself. We'll probably have to get roommates and may not be able to provide Dee Dee with her own room. We may have to share a room for a year or so. Makes me feel like a deadbeat father. I hate it too because Dee Dee knows that house. She has her own room there. That is home to her and now it's going to be gone. When we went to leave the realtor's office, my Dee Dee got upset again because she didn't want to go with her mother. She was actually telling her that she didn't like her and didn't want to go with her. I have never heard a 3-year-old say that to their own mother before. She started crying and actually threw up again. Twice in one day. Shatters me to think what STBX has done to my daughter's life. Of course, she tries to sit and blame me, saying I am bad-mouthing her to our daughter. We started arguing again as the accusing set me off and I was upset about the house. We went back and forth and somewhere in the conversation it turned into the blame game again. I told her I didn't do anything to deserve the pain she has caused me, but something clicked and I told her I did do one thing. I had loved her more than anything. Probably the worst thing I could have said for my own mental health. She threw it back in my face saying I didn't love her and that I wanted her gone, referring back to when we almost split. I told her that was complete BS. I had begged her to come home. She cried and did without a second thought that night a few months ago. 6 weeks later, she cheated on me and left me after things started to improve in our life. Literally about 24 hours between now and the court hearing. Didn't sleep all that well last night and I've had a pit in my stomach the past few days. Just keeps getting worse too. I have a good feeling I won't sleep at all tonight. Going to go buy some nice clothes for court tonight. I did a juice fast for 63 days starting in Jan and lost 72 pounds. A lot of my clothes don't fit anymore. I was able to stick to it after D-Day, but once I started eating again I kind of went downhill. Instead of not eating when I am stressed or emotional, I just eat nothing but crap food. Only gained maybe 10 pounds back over the past 2 months, and I'm able to maintain it fairly well. Hoping I can start doing some exercise or something and start losing again. This next bit is a little long and childish. Guess sometimes these situations can make you do things like this. Not sure what I should do or why I care enough to let it drag on like this. About a year or two ago my STBX went and did a glamour photo shoot. The photographer was doing this special pin-up calendar and she wanted to do it as a gift for Christmas. My birthday. She was really happy with them. Amazing what they can do with Photoshop. And so for a gift we got her a photo package to go along with the calendar. When she moved out, I packed up all the pictures I had of her. These included, she has been hounding me for a while to give them back to her and me just kind of ignore her or give her some excuse that I will get them later. She seems to care so much about these. I'm guessing because she wants to show OM the photos, and I have to admit it feels nice to be able to keep something away from her, and I hate the idea they are going to enjoy them together. There are some extra photos she took in some wedding lingerie I bought her, and I hate the idea of another man seeing her in that. She had left it at the house too, but I ended up throwing all of her lingerie I bought her out. I know they have already slept with each other, so I don't know why it still bothers me so much that they will look at photos. Last night at 1:30 a.m. she sent me a text message saying no more bull crap and stalling. She wants them by tomorrow. Most likely she feels like it gives her leverage in court or something, which is BS. I find it funny that she said please though after trying to make the text sound somewhat threatening. Should I just give them back to her or just throw them out and be done with it? Like I said, I know it's childish. Guess it's my own little way of punishing her and actually seeing a result. Messed up, but I'm hurt. It really hurts today. I guess even though I don't want her back, she has ruined any chance we ever had at our now. Plus, she doesn't want to come back anyway. The idea that the last little bit is final tomorrow is crushing me, and the loneliness is really getting to me right now. Took the whole day off work tomorrow. I see about an hour after court. Counselor was pretty much demanding that I came in right after. Having a hard time keeping it together at work. Not sure how I am going to make it through the day. 24 hours left now as of 8:30 a.m. Weeks later, court day was odd. I pulled up to the courthouse about 15 minutes early and she drove up about 10 seconds later and parked right next to me. She actually got out of her car, walked over and climbed in the passenger seat of my truck like it was no big deal. I just looked at her like what the hell. Admittedly, I didn't know what to say, so I just got my stuff and walked away. Didn't want to speak with her. She was right on my heels the whole way up and even tried to apologize for everything. I didn't even acknowledge her. The actual courtroom hadn't opened yet, so I just took a seat in the hall. I was pretty much in tears all morning. She sat next to me and tried to ask me if I could ever forgive her. I just ignored her. A few minutes later the court opens and we go inside. She went in first and sat down. I sat down separately on another bench. 2 minutes before the judge walks in, she gets up and comes to sit next to me and asks me again if I could ever forgive her. Still didn't respond. They started the hearings. It was nothing but divorces that day. There were 7 couples before us. The whole idea made it worse and I broke down a little more. She actually tried to rub my arm and comfort me. Still just ignored her. This whole time she is pretty much in tears as well. We get called up and the judge goes through the paces. Both of us were pretty much a giant blubbering mess. We finished and went across the hall to turn in the paperwork, and she asks one more time if I could ever forgive her. I just looked at her and said nothing. She really got upset after that and ran off to the bathroom crying. We finished turning in the paperwork and I just started walking to my truck. She followed right being me. When I stepped outside and I heard the door shut, it was that final dramatic moment of realization that it was done and I lost it. She came up to me but didn't say anything. Then out of nowhere she told me to come on. As in stop crying. That just pissed me off. She tried to hug me and I just stood there. I shouldn't have done it as it just set me back, but I kissed her on the cheek, told her always and forever, and just beelined it for my truck and left. I just found it so odd that she was crying and asked me to forgive her 3 times, and yet any other time she always acts like she didn't feel bad at all about what she did. Part of me wishes I could have been stronger that morning. From finding out that my wife cheated on me, then continued to lie about wanting R and actually leaving me for the OM to the final divorce in 3 months is too short. I guess. I went to IC after that. By the time I got there I couldn't cry anymore and was just numb. We went through the whole thing and I kind of ran out of things to say, but time was pretty much up anyway. Walked around the local mall for a little bit. Almost went to watch a movie but didn't think I would end up paying attention, so I skipped it. Went and got a nice lunch and a drink or two, then headed home for a while. While I was at lunch, she actually texted me and asked me if I would split a storage unit with her. Unbelievable. Was just kind of numb for the rest of the night. Got together with some friends for dinner and then met up with another group to do some bowling. Couldn't really get my mind off of it. I don't remember much about the rest of the night. Saturday morning, she started calling me. I never picked up the phone as I was trying to sleep and didn't want to talk to her. She ended up calling 15 times, literally, and started sending me nasty text messages and left a voicemail. She said the divorce is final and I still hadn't given her the pictures. She said if I destroyed them that was just low. Really? You cheated on me and left me, but destroying a bunch of pictures is low. I just ignored the phone for a while as I couldn't go back to sleep. Ended talking to a friend on the phone for a while. It was amazing the fit she was throwing over a bunch of pictures. It's easy enough to tell that she wants to show OM the nice pictures of herself. It just hurts because the whole reason she did any of them was meant as a gift to me. After about an hour or two I sent her a text saying where I would meet her and what time to give her the damn photos back. I said if she called me again about them, I wouldn't give them back. About an hour before I was supposed to meet her, she sent me a text saying she couldn't make it. I told her fine, I would let her know in a day or so when I would drop them off. Maybe when we went to swap our D. Later in the day she sent me a text asking if I could meet her with the photos. I said no, I had plans and I would let her know. Commenced the bombarding again. It was nothing but hours of nasty text messages about how I am selfish, doing this to hurt her. She threatened to call the police on me too as it was her property. I went over for a friend's husband's birthday party. They asked if I could go to the store and I did. As I was walking into CVS, I actually received a call from a deputy sheriff. I almost pissed myself laughing. I explained everything that had happened and told him I had proof that I had tried to give them back to her but she couldn't get them. I told her we would make other arrangements in a day or two. He said he understood and felt it wasn't right that I should only work around her schedule if I have plans. Plus, he said there was really nothing he could do. Sometimes getting a phone call from the sheriffs would put an end to it. I called her after and said what she did was ridiculous and childish and I would bring her pictures with me when we traded our D, but I had some things to say as I didn't feel like talking and hung up. She texted me back and said that the divorce was final and she didn't have to listen to me anymore. Told her if she wanted the photos back, she would listen to what I have to say, otherwise I would toss them. Went back to the party and did my best to not think about it. She actually tried to text me an apology but I didn't respond to her. Went home and went to bed afterwards, was highly amused, annoyed and royally pissed off she called the sheriff. Was not looking forward to the next day. My comment, how you think OP will end up doing. Update coming tomorrow. Subscribe to this channel if you have not yet, and see you in the ending.